Oh, so the film was about two boys. I start filming with one boy called Marzai and another boy called Joshua Wong. Marzai was 17 when we first started filming, and Joshua was 14. We started filming them in August 2011, and then we filmed them for like 2 years almost. And over the course of that period of time, Joshua Wong in particular becomes very, very famous. He leads a campaign against national education, which he claimed was brainwashing, and it was to replace civic education with national education. Sort of the contentious issue is that national education is trying to make people patriotic, but it's blurring what is patriotism with obedience to the Communist Party. So basically it's one issue within the pro-democracy campaign, and whereas Marzai on the other hand is a much more broader subject, in that he's interested in lots of things that are connected to democracy, whether it's workers' rights, pensions, these sorts of things. And I chose these two boys because they went to the same school, they grew up in the same neighborhood on the same housing estate, they knew each other, but they didn't know each other's names. They kind of knew each other by sight. You know, they sat on the school bus but would never talk to each other, as is often the case when there's an age difference. And so they come from really, really similar backgrounds, but their personalities could not be more different. They are total opposites. And whilst they're both pursuing the same goal, which is, you know, greater democracy for Hong Kong, they decide to pursue it in radically different manners. So I cast Marzai first because he was what most people would regard as a radical. He was, you know, back in 2011, was willing to get arrested, was protesting, doing things which people might regard as radical. Although the term radical is very relative when it comes to Hong Kong. And then Joshua Wong was cast as the moderate because he was not really doing any of those things. I mean, he might do a very, very, you know, peaceful protest. And when I say peaceful, normally they don't really involve very much. And he wasn't willing to involve in civil disobedience or any of those things back then. And then over the course of the 18 months to 2 years that we filmed, both these boys basically come and meet somewhere in the middle almost. Joshua becomes more radical, and he manages to take the general public with him to a certain extent on his road to becoming more radical. And Marzai moderates his stance and becomes less radical to a certain extent. I think he just becomes more pragmatic. I don't believe that Marzai has become less radical. I think he's become more strategic and says, okay, well, what is working, what's not working? I'm not going to waste energy on doing something that's not working. Likewise with Joshua, I don't think he's become more radical either. I think he always was radical. He just knew that if he wanted to carry people with him, that he had to start off moderate, because the vast majority of Hong Kong people are relatively conservative. So that's essentially the story, is these two young boys fighting for democracy and really risking their futures to do that. And I think that's pretty brave, and that's what attracted me to them. So it was a good 2 years of filming with them, and I find them quite inspiring, and I hope that people watching the film will find them inspiring, because essentially they are representatives of their generation. There's lots of other kids their age doing the same things.